17 years. It took 17 years, but the Detroit Pistons, led by Cade Cunningham, have broke the drought. They got their first playoff win. The series is even 1-1, heading back to Detroit. Let's break it down. Let's go. Today's episode, Locked On Pistons Podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Kuka Hill. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the Locked On Network since 2021. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Make sure you guys head over to all the links in the description, Substack, Playback, all that good stuff, LockedOnDaily.com. Get that Locked On Pistons Daily newsletter. The Pistons just evened up the series against the New York Knicks. They get their first playoff win. First playoff win since 2008. Since 2008, Cade Cunningham just led the Detroit Pistons to their first playoff win since 2008. This, you guys can probably hear it a little bit. My voice, I'm losing my voice. Hosting that live watch room, man, I was losing my mind. The Pistons won this game 100-94. We're going to talk about later about how the young guys stepped up and absolutely answered the call. We'll also talk about how home court is now in the Pistons' advantage. But look, man, the Pistons' defensive coverage and defensive game plan in this game was truly elite. They were fantastic defensively. This was one of the best defensive performances you probably will see in the playoffs. The New York Knicks, a team that has Karl-Anthony Towns, that has Mikal Bridges, that has OG Anunoby, that has Jalen Brunson, scored 94 points in this game. The Pistons forced them into 14 turnovers. They shot 28% from deep. They shot 42% from the field. After burning them in the first game, Cat was 5 of 11 in this game. After burning them in this first game, OG Anunoby went 4 of 10 in this game. Cade was fantastic defensively on OG Anunoby. I don't want to spoil the second segment so much, but man, Jalen Duren, we'll dive even more into it later on, but Jalen Duren was walking into this game with a ton of pressure. Isaiah Stewart was ruled out. He did not play in this game, so they did not have their defensive center. They did not have their defensive anchor for this game, which meant a lot of pressure, a lot of the responsibility was going to fall on Jalen Duren. And Jalen Duren, I almost swore. Jalen Duren absolutely answered the call. 12 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal. They stayed with the matchup of Tobias on Cat and Jalen Duren on Josh Hart. He didn't pick up not one defensive 3-second violation in this game. He did a much better job of trapping along the baseline, especially when Cat went to the post-ups. They were sending the trap along the baseline as soon as he put one dribble down and forcing Cat to try and make a read off a live dribble where he's not very good at. They completely shut down Cat in this game. And Jalen Duren as a roamer was so damn good in this game. He was infinitely better, and it turns out young guys will probably be better than their first ever playoff game. Turns out, shocking theory, who would have thought it? But turns out that guys will be better in their second, third, fourth, fifth playoff game than they were in their very first playoff game in Madison Square Garden. The defense was absolutely fantastic from the Pistons. Tobias Harris was the primary matchup on karl-Anthony Towns. He had 13 rebounds. He played 43 minutes. Tobias Harris is 32 years old. He played 43 minutes and was banging all night with Cat in the post and was physical as hell all game and ended the game with 13 rebounds. Remember in the first game, after the last podcast, I spoke about how the Knicks really did a great job of crashing the glass and keeping the Pistons off the glass. The Pistons weren't able to dominate inside like they wanted to in the first game. Cade had 12 rebounds. Duren had 13. Tobias had 13. That's 38 rebounds just through 3 guys. The Pistons were active as hell on the glass. They were physical as hell in this game. Physical as hell in this game. From the opening tip-off, they were physical with the New York Knicks. And the refs, so far through 2 games, for the most part, now we'll talk about it a little later, but for the most part, they've allowed physicality. There's been some tough calls. There was one just horrible, absolutely horrible call on Ausar Thompson at the end of this game. Absolutely horrible one. But for the most part, they have allowed these teams to play physical for the most part. And that's lending itself to Detroit. If they can play defense like this, they can beat the New York Knicks. And if you watch this game, the Pistons really, I don't even feel, they didn't just outplay the Knicks by a 6-point advantage. They really should have won this game by 15 plus points. They were outplaying the living hell out of the Knicks for the first 3 quarters of this game. Heck, even in the fourth quarter when the Knicks made their run, the Pistons answered and kept the lead. The Pistons outplayed the hell out of the Knicks in this game. The Pistons had 15 turnovers in this game. It's the only reason the Knicks stayed in this game. There was multiple times when the Pistons forced a turnover or got a stop. And when they went out to go in transition, Paul Reed would get a dumb turnover. He had 2 turnovers. Cade would throw something away. Ausar threw one away. Tobias threw one away. There was multiple times where they really could have stepped on the Knicks' necks, and they just turned it over. There was multiple blown shots at the rim that they had in this game. Paul Reed missed a few bunnies. Tobias missed the dunk. Malik missed the dunk. They had a few bunnies at the rim where they really could have just extended the lead out. And despite all of that, along with Malik Beasley being 1 of 8 from deep, along with THJ being 0 of 6 from deep, 0 of 8 in the game, the Pistons still won by 6 points. The Pistons put up an absolute defensive masterclass, and that's how they can beat these Knicks teams. This is how they can win this series. They win on defense, and they get out in transition, and they score. They have found something with this Tobias on Cat and Duren on Hart. If Tibbs wants to play Josh Hart 40 minutes a game, the Pistons will gladly accept it. They'll play off of him. They'll roam off of him. He can shoot 2 of 6. He can make 1 out of 2 threes. He can do all that. The Pistons will take that because it allows them to clamp down on Cat. It allows them to clamp down on drives and make it incredibly tough on Cat to get anything at the rim. The first game, they didn't execute it well enough. This game, they executed it to perfection. And lastly, before we move on, I know he fouled out, but I thought Ausar, I thought Cade, I thought Dennis Schroeder, I thought these guys did an absolutely fantastic job of not falling for any of Jalen Brunson's deceleration foul calls. Now, he ended the game with 11 free throws, and a lot of those I think were questionable, especially that last foul call on Ausar. I thought it was incredibly questionable. Actually, not questionable. It was just terrible. It was not a foul. But for the majority of this game, Jalen Brunson loves going through a pick and roll. Once he has someone on his back, if he gets by you on a step, anything on a drive, on a pick and roll, he loves to stop as soon as he starts his drive, stop and pick up a foul from someone running into their back and throw his head back. He does it all game. He's the worst flopper in the NBA. Watching this dude has been terrible. He flops on every single play, dude. But his favorite move is to decel, fly back, and draw a foul because guys are running around the screen to catch up to him. And I thought Ausar was fantastic on not falling for any of it. Schroeder was fantastic for not falling for any of it. And this is now 2 straight games where Brunson's had to take 25, 27 plus shots to get to 30. He had 37 points on 27 shots in this game. He had 6 turnovers. The Pistons, he's getting his points, but the Pistons are making him work hard as hell to get to those points. And if it takes him 27 shots to get to 35, the Pistons won. The Pistons won. They will take that. This is now 2 straight games he's had to take these many shots to get to his point total. They will take that. Their defense has been great for the most part. And really, I feel like they've outplayed the Knicks for 8.5 out of the, How many quarters? They've outplayed the Knicks for like 6.5, 7 of these quarters out of the 8 quarters they've played. They really could be up 2-0. Now you're heading back to Detroit, 1-1. They break the playoff drought. 17-year drought. It is over. Pistons win. Cade Cunningham leads them. What a game, man. What an absolute defensive masterclass. And JB just coached a hell of a game. A hell of a game. Coming up, the young guys answered. After struggling in the first game, all of them came through and answered in this game. We'll talk about that coming up. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. I've told you guys many a times I started using FanDuel years ago. I have not stopped using it since. It's extremely fun to use, super self-explanatory, super easy to use, but obviously, most importantly, it's super fun to use. So again, head over to FanDuel.com and you can claim $250 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet and it wins. Again, head over to FanDuel.com, claim $250 in bonus bets today with FanDuel. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. You got all the links in the description, Substack, playback, watch room for the Pistons playoff games. Check out LockedOnDaily.com. Get your Locked On Pistons daily newsletter along with your Locked On Pistons daily podcast. You guys know what the deal is. All right, the young guys. There was so much talk. After the first game of the young guys not playing well and not showing up. Are they going to show up moving forward? Are they going to play well moving forward? Are the lights too bright? Are they scared of Madison Square Garden? Are they just overmatched? Are they not good enough? There was so much talk about the young guys after game one. And in that game one, the vets showed up and showed out. They did. Malik, THJ, Tobias, they all played extremely well, and the young guys did not play well. And there was a ton of skepticism after the first game for some reason. A ton of skepticism. Oh, they won't play better. It's their first playoff series. They're not going to play any better. Why should you expect them to play better? One game later, all of them answered. One game later, they all answered. What did I say on the last podcast? On the last podcast, I said, you probably won't expect THJ, Malik, and Tobias to all hit shots at that level again. But you probably won't get this bad of a game out of the young guys again. It will balance out. And in this game, you got an absolutely, you know what, look, I want to talk about Cade. We are going to talk about Cade because he was the best player on the floor tonight. But I have to give Duren even more flowers, even more time. Duren, like I mentioned in the first segment, he was under so much pressure in this game for how he was going to have to be impactful at an extremely high level for the Detroit Pistons to win this game without Isaiah Stewart. He just played, when you consider the context, when you consider the playoffs, when you consider the drought, when you consider where he's playing at, down 1-0 at Madison Square Garden, I think this was, when you consider all of that, the best game Duren has played in his career. He was, now late in the fourth quarter, he did have a slip up, but for 98.9% of this game, he just played his best defensive game of his career. He was excellent roaming off of Josh Hart. He was excellent on the glass. He was making his presence known. He dominated the Knicks in the paint. He outmuscled all of the Knicks. He was absolutely fantastic, and I want to give him a ton of flowers because it's truly insane. With the chat during the playback watch party, the chat was talking about it. The first 2 months of this season, there was legit talk. Duren's not getting better. He's really struggling. He's not looking good. What should they do something? That was the talk the first 2 months. Since January, he has completely 180'd his season and has capped it off with a game in the playoffs as a 21-year-old showing up and showing out defensively. He was incredible at protecting the rim. He was incredible at timing when to go after shots, when to go after the double teams on Cat. He was incredible on all of it. And I thought he was incredible as a screener in this game and really opened things up for Cade too. I thought he did a great job of screening OG Anunoby and getting OG off of Cade just enough to create shots for Cade. This game from Duren was fantastic. This is a guy that you build. This is a guy that is your starting center of the future and a guy you pay in the offseason. He's 21 years old, guys. He's going to only get better. And he just showed up in a playoff game in Madison Square Garden and won the matchup against an all-NBA player in Karl-Anthony Towns. Jalen Duren deserves all of the praise possible after how he played in this game tonight. All of the praise possible. Now we'll move on to Cade. But we had to start with Duren. He deserves it. But now we move on from Cade. The best player on the floor. He was the best player on the floor. You know what? Play it.
What I said earlier. Don't touch me. I'm sizzling.
He was absolutely sizzling all night. There were so many Knicks fans in my comments, in my mentions. I'm sure you guys are going to be in my comments too. I'm going to wait for it. I'm going to wait for I hope you guys are just as loud in the comments in this episode. I'll be looking. I'll be reading the comments. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see how loud you guys are. Cade's not as good as Brunson. Brunson's clearly better than Cade. Brunson's clearly the best player in this series. Cade's overmatched. There's no way he has a better game after game one. OG Anunoby's the Cade Cunningham stopper. Here he is. Cade's shivering in his boots. He doesn't know what to do. He sees OG. He gets scared. Who knows what's going to happen? And then Cade just simply answers with a 33, 12, and 3 game on an efficient 21 shots, 10 of 12 from the free throw line. He had 5 turnovers, and I'm pretty sure all 5 of those turnovers came in the first quarter, and then he played a clean game the rest of the game. And then along with that, in the fourth quarter, when the Knicks were starting to make their run, Cade Cunningham came through, got to the free throw line. With about 3 minutes left in this game, the Knicks are really on their run. Cade comes down out of a timeout, draws a foul, slows it down. A few possessions later, comes down, draws a foul, slows it down. Another possession, beats OG to the basket, finds Paul Reed for an open layup. Comes down, finds Tobias Harris wide open on the left wing after a drive. Just absolutely answered over and over and over again. They've run a little DHO action from the high post with him and Jalen Duren. No look lob. Jalen Duren got 2 on ball, finishes that pass. Cade Cunningham was the best player on the floor in this game in Madison Square Garden against Jalen Brunson. He was the best player on the floor. And not just offensively, defensively, he was tasked with guarding OG Anunoby, who had 23 points in the first game. Not only did OG not turn into prime Kawhi Leonard and apparently just scare the hell out of Cade. Oh no, he doesn't know what he's going to do. OG's coming. Who knows? Not only did he not clamp Cade up defensively, he also was nowhere to be found offensively. Where was the Kawhi Leonard? Where was this two-way legend that Cade has no answer for? Where was this guy? Because what I saw was Cade give him the buckets on one end and then clamp him on the other end. The Pistons have a two-way superstar. He plays on both ends. He's not being hidden on THJ and having to show on screens and get back. He's not being hidden on Dennis Schroeder and Malik Beasley and having to show on screens and then run back. He's not having to flop on defense because he's scared to play defense and can't play defense. No, he'll go and get a bucket on you offensively, and then he'll come back down defensively and use his strength and physicality to shut you down. And that's exactly what he did to OG Anunoby tonight. Exactly what he did on OG Anunoby tonight. He had highlight play after highlight play, the behind the back on the fast break, the behind the back into a dunk over Jalen Brunson. I think it was chasing by, trying to swipe down. Showed up and showed out. I was told after game one, there's no way Cade's going to outplay these guys. I was told after game one, it's over. You got a little too high. You got a little too happy. Cade's not ready for this. You guys gave the best punch. We got Cade locked up. We have the secret formula. Yeah, well, Cade kind of tossed. Cade just went out there and balled out for the Detroit Pistons. He ended their 17-year drought of without a playoff win. This is after tripling their playoff or their regular season win total, excuse me. Getting them a top 6 seed in the playoffs. And now in the same year, he breaks the playoff win drought. If that's not a franchise player, if that's not an absolute superstar, if that's not an all-NBAer, if that's not one of the 10 best players in the NBA, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. And we'll wrap it up with this. Asar Thompson was 2 of 7 in this game. He fouled out. 6 fouls. If you watch this game, he was tremendous defensively. He was great defensively. He had a few foul calls that a lot of people, I mean, this is how you know it was bad. The entire NBA community was putting out clips saying, how bad is this flopping from Brunson? Despite that, in Asar's 20 minutes of action, he was incredibly impactful. He was great defensively. He was a +3 in the game. I thought every single one of the Pistons' young guys were infinitely better in this second game, especially defensively, and that is why the Pistons won this game. Cade Cunningham led it, and Jalen Duren was utterly fantastic defensively. Utterly fantastic. So we'll wrap that one up there. Coming up, the Pistons have home court advantage now. Everything swings to Detroit now. New York is coming to Detroit. How good of a position is Detroit in? We'll talk about that coming up. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. You guys know all the links in the description down below. Locked On Daily for your Locked On Pistons daily newsletter. Type in your email there, you get that. Before we get to the home court, I want to give some credit to a few other guys real quick too. Paul Reed, he was up and down. He had a few turnovers that were just like, oh my God, Paul, come on, just calm down. But for the most part, I thought he was actually really effective in his minutes. In 11 minutes, just to give Duren enough of a break, in 11 minutes of action, he was a +13, 6 points, a block and a steal, 3 or 4 from deep, or not from deep, from the floor. And his random blitzes are really chaotic, and it threw the Knicks off. If it wasn't for the turnovers he had that were leading into transition that could have put the Pistons up even more, I would say he played an A+ backup game. Those turnovers hurt and was scary at times because it let the Knicks back into the game where the Pistons really could have stepped on their necks. But I thought Paul Reed played a fine game. I thought he came through when they needed him. And then Dennis Schroeder, in the fourth quarter of this game, the Knicks are on this run. They're on this run. They're coming back. They've tied the game. And Dennis Schroeder, the Pistons created open threes. They created open threes for all their vets. THJ had an open 3. Malik had 2 open threes. Tobias had an open 3. Tobias then dropped another kick out for another open 3. They created a ton of Cade was creating a ton of attempts to shut down this run. Guys just weren't hitting their shots. Even Schroeder. Schroeder had one. They got to stop. They pushed in transition. Cade kicks it out to him to the left corner. Put him up. They could have put him up 5. He misses it. However, with 2 minutes left in this game, maybe even, I don't have the exact time of it was at the very end of this game. It might have been even last minute. I'll try to find the exact timing of it. Schroeder comes through with a huge 3-point shot. 56 seconds. That's 56 seconds left in this game. Schroeder was the vet that hit the open 3. They just needed one vet to answer. They needed one vet to come through and hit an open shot to dagger the Knicks. They just needed one. And Schroeder came through, and he hit a 3 with 56 seconds left to put the Pistons up by 3. And after that, the Pistons hold on and win. Schroeder came through big time in this game, man. Absolute big time, and this was a huge, amazing pickup from Trajan Langdon. Getting Schroeder has been huge. He had 20 points off the bench. 20 points and 6 of 10 shooting. He only took 10 shots and had 20 points. He was another guy in that fourth quarter that drew some free throws when the run was going for the Knicks to kind of calm things down. Dennis Schroeder came through. And the craziest thing about this game, the Pistons won by 6. They still could have played even better. Is THA going to shoot 0 of 8 again? Probably not 0 of 8. Is Malik going to shoot 1 of 8 from deep again? I would guess not. Is that going to happen? Probably not. The Pistons only scored 100 points in this game. They had multiple bunnies blown at the rim. They had multiple chances in fast break, in transition, to push this lead to 18, 17 points. They could have played even better than this. And the scoreboard really doesn't even show how badly they outplayed New York for around 43 of the 48 minutes. They still can play even better. And now heading back to Detroit, where they have home court advantage. The Pistons now have home court advantage. All you want to do, at the very least, is steal one on the road. That when the road team wins, that's when the playoff series starts. And the Pistons just did that. Now they head back to LCA, where it's going to be absolutely rocking. You're going to have fans who just saw their first playoff win in 17 years, led by their franchise player. They are going to be absolutely juiced up. It's going to be an absolute hectic scene at LCA. It's going to be absolutely insane. They're going back to Detroit with momentum, understanding that their defensive game plan for the most part through 2 games has been excellent. They can still play even better with home court advantage. This was a tremendous game from the Pistons. Absolutely tremendous game. If you somehow missed this game and you're a Pistons fan, you want to talk about 2004 going to work type defense? Go back and watch this game. I might even rewatch this game just for the fun of it. The defense that the Pistons played on the New York Knicks, I'm not joking. It might be the best defense you see from any team. I think the way they played defense against the Knicks was better than the defensive showcase we saw in that Warriors-Rockets game. I thought it was way better. These guys showed up, man. These guys showed up. And for all that talk, by the way, before we wrap it up, for all that talk about the Knicks are just as physical as the Knicks, or as the Pistons. The Pistons aren't going to out-physical the Knicks. Soft as Charmin. The Pistons absolutely out-physical, whatever you want to call it, the Knicks tonight. And instead of the Knicks trying to get physical back, all you saw was a bunch of head whipping, flopping, arms going all over the place. Like, that's what you saw from the Knicks side. From the Pistons side, you saw a bunch of fighting, diving on the ground, getting physical, pushing guys around. Knicks side, all you saw was a bunch of flopping, crying for foul calls. I'll tell you this much right now. The Knicks may win this series. Who knows? Who knows who will end up winning this series? But I'll tell you this right now. Flopping ain't going to win you this series. You better get ready to be physical. That's all I'm going to say. You better be ready to get physical. Because if you're going to try and match the Pistons' physicality with flopping, you're not going to win. You will not win this. You better try to match this physicality. Because the physicality is only going to get better at Detroit. And Stu's coming back. Better find another route, Brunson. Flopping probably ain't it. And if you're going to be honest, you should probably take a class on how to play defense. Your team can't play defense because they're coming after you and putting you in every action because you can't play defense. Instead of all that trash talking and flopping, you should probably go sit down and learn how to play some defense. But going back to Detroit, 1-1. Pistons can win this series, guys. They can win this series. They absolutely can win this series. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Playoffs 1-1 for the Detroit Pistons going back to LCA. We'll see you guys in Detroit.